now looking back on it is really sad to me, is that I actually was more so poisoning my body than I was doing it justice. Yes, it was instant gratification. I got what I wanted in the moment. But I was poisoning my body, and it led me to Hello, welcome to Authentically Aligned, a wellness podcast where we speak on all things wellness, from fitness and nutrition to meditation and mindfulness, healing, growth, self-help, and so much more. If you are a new listener, welcome to the podcast. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for your love and support. And I want you to know that I'm sending you that same love and support right back. On today's episode, I want to shift gears a little bit. For the past few episodes, we have been talking about growing internally, about healing, about working through some things, and just overall becoming a better, well-rounded, more aligned human being. But today, I really want to focus on nutrition. So for those of you who don't know, I am a certified nutritionist. And nutrition is something that has become a real passion for me as I have gone through my journey to fitness and healing my body and learning to take care of myself and really just take pride in my all-around health. So I think that nutrition is something that is really important to be talked about because there are so many different views on nutrition today. There are so many different views on health today, and the shoulds and should nots and all of the diets that are popular and all of the ways of eating. And I think it's important to have a discussion about it and let you know where I stand and let you know through my education, through personal experience with not only myself, but my clients as well, and really give you a deep dive on my perspective on nutrition. So today's episode is focused on nutrition, gut health, and overall just taking care of our body from the inside out. So I think nutrition is a very interesting topic because it can mean something entirely different to every single person that you talk to. It's very subjective. But I think that there are key points that can be learned and understood and followed that can help everybody benefit and maybe change their lifestyle. So the first thing that I will say is I eat everything. I'm a foodie. I love food, but I have learned to love good food. I have learned to love healthy food. I have learned to love food that nourishes my body. So I do eat meat. I eat dairy on occasion. I do not eat gluten. I will eat it on occasion, but most of the time, every time I regret it. So I try and stay away from it as much as possible. But overall, I eat everything. And my diet personally is very focused on high protein and eating as less processed foods as possible. And this is the way that I also guide and coach my own clients through their nutrition and really just take it back to just the basics. Take it back to where you're getting your proteins from. Also, where are you getting all of your micro and macro nutrients from? I have tried different diets. I have tried different trending things. And what I have found that works best for me, that has created a sustainable lifestyle for me, is eating a high protein, minimally processed diet. After my proteins, my main focus is on getting all of my nutrients, and majority of that comes from fruits and vegetables. So I try and have a variety of fruits and vegetables throughout my diet, throughout my day, and really incorporate all of the micro and macro nutrients. I think that talking about nutrition can become tricky because so many people love to food shame, and that is not my goal in today's episode. My goal in today's episode is really just to educate, to give insight, to maybe teach you something that you had no idea. So for me personally, when I started my fitness journey, or I really started to take it seriously about 6 years ago, I knew nothing about nutrition. Absolutely nothing. And at the time, I was teaching a group fitness class where I was burning probably like 1,500 calories a day based on the classes that I was teaching. And at this time, I was also still dancing. So the calories that I was burning, I couldn't keep up with throughout the day. So what I would do, and because I thought that I could do this because I was constantly working out, is I would eat whatever I want. And I thought that because I was working out that I could eat whatever I wanted. And of course I could. My body didn't really see a negative effect to it. But what I would do is I literally would teach classes all day. By the end of the day, I didn't have enough calories and I was really starting to lose weight. So what I was doing is I was like dirty bulking, but not even bulking. I was just dirty trying to keep weight on. And by the end of the day, I would find myself at the drive-thru at Taco Bell. I would find myself drinking a chocolate milkshake like at least 3 to 4 times a week, just so that I could get the calories and not lose weight. And at this time, I had no idea about nutrition. I had no idea how to properly fuel my body, how to properly take care of my body, and how to really nourish my body for all of the exercise and the strength training and the dancing that I was doing at the time. And I had a really closed mindset at the time of, no, I'm not going to give up these foods because this is what makes me happy. This is what I enjoy. And what was really, now looking back on it, is really sad to me is that I actually was more so poisoning my body than I was doing it justice. Yes, it was instant gratification. I got what I wanted in the moment. But I was poisoning my body, and it led me to really serious gut problems. And when I started having these gut problems, I started doing more research. I started seeking to understand how I could heal my gut, how I could just start to feel better. And what I was really struggling with for years is not being regular, not being able to digest or process a lot of foods. And it led to a lot of stomach and a lot of gut issues. And I didn't realize at the time that a lot of that was because of all of the high processed foods that I was eating, because I was going to Taco Bell like a few times a week. I was eating these processed foods. I was drinking milkshakes. I was consuming a lot of fats and unnatural oils and gums and things that I didn't realize, but now makes complete sense. They would just sit in my stomach. My body couldn't digest them. My body couldn't process them because they weren't natural substances that my body knew how to process and how to digest. And I believe that this is what truly leads to so many of our health and gut issues that we are having today. You know, you think back 50, 60 years ago, we didn't have all of the processed foods that we have now. And slowly we started getting more and more processed, more convenient, more packaged foods that last longer, that have a longer shelf life. And I truly believe that once that shift started happening is when a lot of our health issues started happening, whether it be cancers, whether it be gut issues, sicknesses, illnesses. And we don't realize because we go to the grocery store and we see all of these things on the shelves and everybody else is eating them, so I should be able to eat them too. They taste good, whatever. Well, a majority of the things that you find in the grocery store, unless you're shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, they're prepackaged, they're boxed, they're in cans, they're in jars, and they have so many additives that are not natural for your body's processing. So anyway, back to my story. I was dirty bulking. I started to do research on my gut health, on why I wasn't able to digest a lot of foods. And even still, I had such a closed mindset because I was like, I'm not going to give up the foods that I love. I wasn't willing to do it. I was like, this is why I work out. This is why I work so hard. I don't want to give up a lot of these foods. And maybe a couple years after that, I took a food sensitivity test. Sent in. It's super easy. I recommend everybody do it. I recommend all of my clients do it because it really helps us to understand what your body can properly process, what it can easily digest, and how digestible certain foods are to you specifically because it's different for everybody. But I took a food sensitivity test. It came back with very interesting results. The biggest thing for me was not being able to eat gluten, not being able to process gluten. Even still, after I got this test back, I was like, no, I'm not giving up bread. Are you kidding me? Cookies? No, like, why would I do that? And my life is going to be miserable. And then maybe 6 months later, I was still experiencing so many gut issues. I had tried everything. I had tried every prebiotic, probiotic, gut health supplement, greens. Like I had tried any and everything to hack my health, and it didn't happen. I was still experiencing these same problems. So finally, I decided to become more disciplined, make the sacrifice of I'm going to cut gluten out of my diet. And I cut it out, and I have never felt better. Of course, there were other things that this food sensitivity test had recommended that I eat less of. And some of those things included turkey, chicken, poultry. Those are the big things that my body just really has a hard time digesting, which was so interesting because you're taught, oh, well, turkey and chicken are great for you. You should be eating them. They're lean proteins. Like that's what you should be eating. But I was eating all of these foods that were really just causing me so much bloating because my body didn't know how to process them. I was feeling sick to my stomach all the time. My acne was like at an all-time high. My like breakouts on my cheeks were so bad. My stress was high. I wasn't sleeping great. And it was just not a good space for me to be in. So when I finally started to take my food seriously, I would say this was probably about 2 years ago that I really started to take it seriously. And like I said, since then, I feel so great. And what's very interesting is that I don't really experience bloating because I know the foods that are going to cause that in me. I know the foods that are really hard for my body to digest. And so I stay away from them because as much as I may enjoy the food, for the next 3, 4, 5 days, my stomach is off and I just don't feel right. So at that point, it became more about how I felt rather than the instant gratification of eating something that brought me joy in the moment, that gave me a little bit of an endorphin rush. It's been really fun for me because I enjoy cooking. I love being creative in the kitchen. I love cooking. I love putting together meals. So it's really allowed me to get creative in the kitchen and realize that like it can still be so fun to eat. I can still make really great bomb food that's gluten-free. Ask any of my friends, they'll tell you. And I feel so much better. I have so much more energy. My body is less inflamed. And that was something that I didn't realize. You think that eating these foods that cause you to bloat or that your body can't digest, you think that really it's just in your stomach area. But what was so crazy is that when I stopped eating the inflammatory foods for my body personally, my body was able to tone up so much better because inflammation doesn't just occur in your gut. It doesn't just occur in your stomach. It occurs throughout your body. It occurs in your face. It occurs everywhere. And when your body is being taken care of and you're eating these anti-inflammatory foods, everything just functions so much better. So that is my story on nutrition. I think that it's important for people to start to analyze what you're eating, what you're consuming, what you're taking in. We live in a society, especially in this country, where our food has so many unnecessary additives and chemicals and is so overly processed that we don't realize the effect that it's having on our body. And really, like I said, in the past couple of years, I've really started to eliminate more and more of the additives. For me, something that was really, really big was almond milk or even oat milk, which I don't really drink oat milk. It's not my preferred. It is because it tastes better, but it's health-wise, I prefer almond milk. But even still, I started buying the organic almond milk that only has 3 ingredients because any of the other almond milks have gums, which are so awful for your gut health. And when you start to eliminate these things and really take it to be more of a natural, holistic diet, your body is going to naturally start to thank you. And it's really hard because eating this way is not cheap. It can be expensive. There can be a lot of sacrifices that you have to make, not only in eating maybe certain foods that you like, but financially. And I think that it's important for everybody to understand that making the best choice with the resources that you have is what I recommend you do. So if I were to coach a client through a nutrition consultation, what I would do is I would have them start with a food sensitivity test. And once they got that back, that's going to show us all of the foods that are really easy for them to process, that their body is going to thrive when they eat, that their body is going to be nourished with. And then it's also going to show us the foods that we should probably stay away from, the foods that we should start to eliminate. And I think that that is the best way to do it, is starting by eliminating, starting also by just incorporating more of the foods that are good for your body, more of the foods that your body can process. Because the more of those that you start to incorporate, the more you start to figure out how to prepare them, how to cook them, how to find them when you're eating out, then you're going to be fulfilled and you're going to feel nourished, and you're not really going to miss out on the things that you used to eat. So I would start with a food sensitivity test, and then I would do a nutrition consultation and create a nutrition guide with all of the foods that you are able to eat and a macronutrient ratio based on your goals. Now, for me and most of my clients, the goal is to recompose our body. And what that means is to eliminate the fat and build muscle. A lot of times with that, you do lose weight, you do lose fat, and then you also build muscle on top of that. And how I do that is through a high protein diet. So I would compose a nutrition guide based on the macronutrients that are going to support that muscle growth, that body recomposition. High protein diet. Typically, it consists of about 1 gram of protein per body weight. So if you were to weigh 150 pounds, then your goal would be to eat 150 grams of protein per day. And that in itself is hard to do. You start to find these things where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. But really, when you break it down, when you split it up throughout the day, you're able to do it. And so that's where I would start, is with the protein. And then I would really focus on my micronutrients, which come from a lot of the fruits and vegetables that we eat. And a lot of times in that, then you're already getting the carbohydrates that you need. And then you can start to add in some of the fats that you need. And what I find in this is it helps people so much, not only in their muscle recovery because they're getting all of the protein that they need, but then they're getting all of the micronutrients. They're getting all of the things that are good for their gut, that are supporting their natural gut health. They're getting the things that are good for their digestive system. They're getting all of the things that are good for their hair, skin, nails, and really their body is just functioning at its optimal capacity, which is such a great feeling. So I personally am not one for a vegan diet. I do think that there are, of course, moral and ethical reasons to have a vegan diet, which I do support, but I don't support the high processed vegan diet. I think that it can be very interesting when people are like, oh yeah, I'm vegan, but they go to the grocery store and they eat all of these fake processed meats that like you actually have no idea what you're eating, except really it's chemicals. And the same goes for all of the high processed vegan foods. I think that a lot of times there's this stigma around veganism that it's healthy. And so people will be like, oh, I'm vegan, it's healthy. Oh, I'm vegan, it's healthy. But really, you have to be very intentional if you decide to have a vegan diet. And it's a lot harder than most people think because you need to get all of the macronutrients that your body needs, where your proteins, your iron is huge. A lot of vegans have an iron deficiency, and finding supplements or finding the vegetables and the fruits that are going to support that, you have to eat a lot. That is one thing about your nutrition is like you really actually should be eating so much more than you think you should. But what happens is we get used to eating smaller portions because we're eating these high processed foods that really aren't good for our body, that really aren't nourishment, and we feel full for a short amount of time, but then the sugars and the fats really just sit in our body without function. So it's important to make sure that the calories that you are consuming are, this is really funny, but I love to use the word intentional calories. Are these calories benefiting your body? Do they have the protein that you need, the carbs that you need, the fats that you need? Because not a lot of processed foods are going to leave your body feeling nourished, feeling full, and operating at its highest capacity. One thing that you'll notice when you start to change your diet and change your lifestyle around your nutrition is an influx of energy. You'll start to sleep better. Like I said, your muscle recovery is going to be better. You're probably also, if you're somebody who works out often, you're probably going to experience a lot more energy in the gym, a lot more strength in the gym. And it really is going to transform your brain function. And just overall, you're going to be feeling so much better. You're going to be operating so much better. A question that I get asked a lot is what I think about intermittent fasting. And my answer is always the same. What I tell people is that it's not something that's sustainable. I think that it can aid in some weight loss. It can help people to lose weight, but I don't recommend people doing it for more than 6 to 8 weeks because it can really start to mess with your metabolism. That's one thing, is that we have all, or a majority of us have been on some sort of fad diet. We have done something to try and lose weight or gain weight or build muscle or whatever it is. And a lot of times these diets end up messing up our metabolism, and our body doesn't know how to function because our body doesn't know when our next meal is coming. So something that I focus on with my clients is resetting your metabolism and really getting your body functioning at its optimal capacity so that with every meal that you eat, you are hungry. I think that we start to mess up our metabolism and then we're like, oh, well, I don't really get hungry, or like I only eat one big meal a day. But what happens when you do that is your body starts to store so much more fat because your body has no idea where its next energy source is coming from. It goes into survival mode, and your body will stay in survival mode until you train it like, no, you're safe. You're going to be fed at this time, every single day. I'm not going to starve you. And you would be surprised when people start to reset their metabolism, they actually start to eat more, and the capacity for them to eat more is actually so much higher. And the result of that is not them gaining weight. It's the fact that their metabolism is ready to go and it's actively working and it's processing these foods. And then you're able to really enjoy your foods. You're able to eat. You're not starving yourself. Your body isn't worried where your next meal is coming from. So for those who have a desire to intermittent fast, I think it can be great for a short amount of time. I do think that in a sense, it can help to reset your metabolism, but it's also important to reset your metabolism right back, because I don't think that your body can function on an optimal level only eating 1 to 2 times a day or only eating in a 6-hour window. Especially if you're somebody who's active. If you're moving around, you'll start to notice that you maybe get low energy throughout the day. And we don't realize, we think, oh my gosh, I have low energy. Like I need a coffee, I need caffeine, I need a boost. But really, have you tried just eating? Because a lot of times your body's energy comes from the food that you eat. So the next time that you are craving a coffee or an energy drink or a matcha or whatever it is, like I really encourage you to have a snack first and see how much better your body feels. And not a high processed snack, a snack that has good calories, that is high in protein, that is calorie dense. With that being said, I think that we are also in a culture where having an energy drink or having a coffee will replace our food. And it's very interesting how that can affect our hormone levels. We don't realize how much our diets and our nutrition can affect our hormones in our body. But when you drink a coffee or a matcha or an energy drink first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, you naturally automatically raise your cortisol levels. Now, your cortisol is your stress hormone. So think about starting your day basically just drinking a large glass cup of stress. I think you might shift your mindset a little bit. Now, I don't mean you need to have like an entire meal before you have a coffee, but it is important to have something in your stomach before you consume one of these things. And I promise, like, your stress levels are automatically going to start to go down. Your cortisol is going to start to go down. That also can aid in weight loss. It can aid in better skin health, better hair health, better sleep habits. So I encourage you to try eating something before you drink your caffeine in the morning. That's just a side note. Just being mindful of the things that you put in your body, especially if you are somebody who is really taking care of your body by going to the gym every day and taking care of your mind and really going on this wellness journey. What you put into your body is so high on the list of your wellness. You know, they say abs are built in the kitchen, and it absolutely 100% is true, because I tell you, I was burning, like I said, 1,500 calories a day. I was eating whatever I wanted. And like, I had abs, but it was like more like the skinny fat. It wasn't tone. I didn't have a lot of muscle definition. And when I started eating more, eating better foods, eating high protein foods, the transformation in my body was huge. And not only that, because it's not all about what your body looks like on the outside, but it's about how your body feels on the inside and how it processes so much better and how you have better muscle recovery, you have less soreness, and that is where your nutrition starts to impact your overall health. With that being said, a lot of the foods that we are consuming that are highly processed, that have the dyes, the additives, the gums, the oils, they can cause so much brain fog that we don't even realize. And when you start to eat from the earth, when you start to eat your whole foods, your fruits and your vegetables and your proteins, you really start to see that you find this mental clarity. You're able to function properly. Like I said, your brain starts functioning better. You almost experience this clearing of a fog because your body doesn't have these chemicals and poisons and toxins that are also being pumped to your brain. They're not just being pumped throughout your body. They're not just being pumped to your heart. They're being pumped all the way to your brain. And that can have such an effect on your cognitive health. So keeping that in mind of what you put into your body is going to show. That is how your body is going to function. And when you start to take out the bad foods, your body is going to start showing you love. It's going to start functioning properly. It's going to get rid of the maybe bad habits, bad even thoughts. I have heard so many studies on red dye 40 and how it makes people crazy. It will put people on edge. It will have people very anxious. It will have people acting out of character. And chemicals can do that. It's not just this red dye 40 that does that to your body. It's all of these other chemicals that we're putting in our body. So like I said, I know that this can be such a challenge. I think that it can be something that not everybody has the resources to do. But what I hope to share with you in this podcast is a little bit of insight in helping you to make better decisions when you go to the grocery store. Buying less of the processed foods, more of the foods on the perimeter of the store that are whole foods, like your fruits and vegetables, the foods that are really going to nourish your body. And that's not to say that you can't eat the processed foods, but I think that everything in moderation is a healthy way to think of things. I had pizza last night. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but normally it is. But yeah, I think it's all about balance. And what you'll find to be interesting is the more that you start to fuel your body with positive things, the more positive your body is going to radiate. And then when you do start to eat some of the more processed foods, or you do indulge, you're not going to feel the greatest, and you're going to start to wonder why. So keeping those things in mind and allowing yourself to make a decision that is going to suit you, not only in the time, it's not only going to satisfy your hunger, but it's going to take care of your body in the long run. A lot of the foods that we have now have the fake sugars, they have all of the additives. And I do really, truly believe that a lot of those are linked to cancer. And this is because cancer cells feed off of these sugars, off of these fake things. The cancer cells feed off of so many of the chemicals that we put in our body. And when we eliminate them, the cancer has nothing to survive on. It can't continue in our body because we're not fueling it. So keeping that in mind, as well as you start to and continue to embark on your nutrition journey. So like I said, the point of this podcast was not to food shame anybody. It was not to make anybody feel guilty about the things that they put in their body, but more so to just educate, give perspective, and allow you the knowledge so that you're able to make the best decision in the moment for your body. Being mindful that it is something that is going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Like I said, my journey to my nutrition and my gut health and healing and fixing all of these things has been a several year process. And I slowly started to eliminate things as I started to feel better. Then I would eliminate more things. And like I said, I found it really cool because now I'm able to create recipes. I'm able to cook for myself, all of the things that I really love, but I'm able to do it in a way that my body is able to process it, that my body thanks me for. I feel nourished. I feel great. And then I know that my body is operating at its optimal capacity. And that is one of the best feelings in the world. So as you move through this upcoming week, I think that I encourage you to start to take note of the things that you're consuming and maybe put down the high processed chips, snacks, whatever it is, and indulge in something that is not only going to nourish your body, but it can also taste good. Your diet does not have to be boring. It does not have to be bland. It does not have to be chicken and rice and broccoli meal prep every single day. Actually, you're not getting all of your micronutrients when you're doing that. So find variety in the foods that you're eating. Find excitement. If you have a favorite dish that somebody makes or that you go to a restaurant and have, try creating it in a way that is healthy for your body, that your body is going to process. And notice how much better your body starts to feel. I'm sending you so much love and light this week. Have a beautiful week.